So what is it that you find you're like truly missing most, even the silliest of things? Like,
I miss going to a bar and having a beer and getting some wings.
That's, yeah.
Something simple like walking around the corner to the bar around the corner once a week to get wings and beers. Just something like that.
See, I miss a time in my life when that was even possible. So that I can't really blame COVID for that.
There it is.
Oh, at least I'm back at O'Shea's.
Nice.
Yeah, just hanging out, hanging out at the bar.
Hey, Mike.
Oh.
Dave, it's a shame they're going to tear that building down across the street.
Yeah, right. It's a shame they're tearing that building down.
Code. You know what I miss? I miss eating crap late at night because I've been really good not doing it because I don't want to eat food that I feel like my daughter, like even snacks, I feel like my daughter will eat. But like normally I could be like, oh, this is the last of the Oreos. I'll grab more tomorrow because I'm an adult who has money and then I'll eat the Oreos. But now I don't do any of that. And like I've lost weight and like that's what I miss.
Right.
I miss my family. I can't see my sister. I can't
see
I
miss your family too. That's what I meant. I miss Jessie's family.
Yeah, I miss Jessie's family.
They're the best.
They are
those nice Sunday dinners.
They're the best. I love them.
Hey, this is Steve with the Punch Up Podcast. With me on this episode are Kevin Regan.
Hi, Steve.
Jessie Preisendorfer.
Hey, Steve.
Ian O'Shea.
Hey, Steve.
And our storyteller is Dave Jadico.
Thanks, Steve.
Hey, bud. Take it away.
All right. So my story takes us back to the summer of 1990. So yeah, possibly. Nah, maybe even earlier than that. 1990 is 30 years ago.
Vogue.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Are you walking around with a pocket full of kryptonite?
I had at least 2 pockets full of kryptonite back then.
Oh, yeah.
Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians.
That's a good call. Yeah, and little Joan Osborne, all that stuff back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just want you all to know I don't edit these anymore, so none of that music is going to play.
Yeah, okay.
Oh.
Nope.
So at the time in 1990, in the summer 90, I was working at a video production company. I may have talked about this company before on a past podcast. And we did video work for casinos and sports shows and commercials and things like that.
Like editing or like creating content or what?
Creating content, yeah, we did commercials, and we also would get hired to I remember going to the Middle East, the comedy club that was on Chestnut Street. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
I about that. Yeah.
It would have been better if you put a longer pause in that. I remember when I was sent to the Middle East.
The Middle
That's
East.
what I thought you said. I was like, wow, this thing is worldly.
There was a comedy club right at 2nd and Chestnut.
Yeah.
Called the Middle East. And
was it exclusively comedy? Because
it wasn't a comedy club. I'm sorry about that. No.
Yeah.
They used to do bands and had a lot of stuff, but this was a comedy night, and I remember we filmed it. So we did stuff like that. Okay. And in fact, actually, we covered the opening of the Taj Mahal, 1990, the casino, and I met what's his name, who it's named after, and mic'd him up. I was the guy that did the audio for that interview.
Your fault, Dave.
Oh my God.
My fault. I could have persuaded him.
Yeah, I know.
It's like the if you could go back in time, Hitler baby thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Dave mic'd Hitler baby.
All you have to do is drop the end of that mic in just a little pool of water.
That's it.
He's a baby. Hitler's a baby. It's not even a big pool that you need.
I don't think it had phantom power. Maybe it did. That might not have worked. But anyway, so one of the shows we worked on was a show we did down in West Palm Beach, Florida. And we got hired to do this. And it was a sports show. And I drove with a couple of guys in the van, and we drove all the equipment down. I was kind of the low man on the totem pole. And so I did some audio stuff, but I did a lot of running of cables.
This is your first job out of college?
No. This was during college. It was one of my co-ops at Drexel.
Okay. Full ponytail and goatee, or mustache goatee, or just the?
No, I was clean shaven, but I had longish hair.
Okay.
at the time.
Why? Not. It just seems weird. Why would they hire a Philly company? Was it Philly related to bring?
I think the show was their idea. They were producing it.
Oh, okay.
And this was the location that they wanted to do it in. I don't remember why, but they wanted to do it down in Florida.
That's a good gig, man.
It was a great gig. I was down there for like a week and a half.
When you drive to Florida, any chance you passed by a butterfly sanctuary?
I didn't see a single butterfly sanctuary. That's a reference to a past podcast.
You just weren't looking hard enough.
Yeah. And actually, I referenced this gig because this was where I took my brother's fake ID, and I got nailed at a Hooters because she said she wouldn't. She was like, "Oh, we got to do something about this." It was
that's right. I remember that.
God, it was his birthday. Yeah. So this was that trip, and so the host of the show was Larry Boa. And,
oh, cool. Yeah.
And he didn't go on the trip, so what we would do is we would film the field where we would put Larry, and then we'd film like 10 minutes of just background, and then when we went back to the studio, we green screened him in, and then he would open up every episode, and that's what and I would stand in and they'd light me, and then when they brought back to the studio, they would put Larry on screen and light him to look like the same lighting.
Yeah.
Right. So the other host of the show.
Stature.
What's that?
I knew I recognized your silhouette.
Exactly. Yeah. He's got a couple inches on me, I think. But I do remember going to his house, though. I remember I had to drop scripts off at his house in the main line at the time. He was the third base coach, I think, for the Phils.
We had to hand deliver scripts.
Yeah, exactly. Back then, and I'm sure he read them off of the teleprompter anyway, but this was just so he could get familiar with them.
Right.
Nice guy.
He was really nice. And I remember like I met his wife and his dog, and like he had a beautiful house. And yeah, I was only there for like 10 minutes, but I do remember like being like the guy that had to drive the scripts out. Yeah. So at down at the gig in Florida, though, the main host, the host that interacted with people, was Jim Burt. If you guys know, he's a Pro Bowler from the 90s and the late 80s. He won 2 Super Bowls. He won both for the New York Giants and San Fran. Yeah.
When you said Pro Bowler, I really thought he was
I thought he was a bowler.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, that's a step down.
He's a professional bowler.
No, he was an all-star a couple of times, a Pro Bowler. Yeah. And he was the host, and he was down there for the whole week and a half, and I got to know him pretty well. Like he was very nice, and like I got a lot of like the guff because I was the young guy, so they would make me go get drinks and stuff like that. And I remember one night we went out to dinner, and he invited Pierce Holt, who was I think he was like an offensive tackle or something for the 49ers, like 6'7" or something. This immense dude. And we all went out to dinner, and these guys had like their Super Bowl rings on. It was just like
49ers too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like 140 pounds at the time, and like these dudes are just like massive. You walk into the restaurant, and everybody just immediately either they recognize them or they immediately know they have to be professional football players.
You're drawn to them.
Yeah, they also both won the Super Bowl the year before, so they were, well known.
89 Niners, yeah.
Yeah. This was 1990, and so at the end of the week, Jim Burt gave me his practice jersey that he was wearing. The shirt it was like a 49ers T-shirt that he had worn the whole time,
and you put it on, and it just like went right down your body.
It was it was a short sleeve, but the sleeves went down to like my elbow length.
He instantly looked like Dritz.
Yeah, it was just like flopping around in it. And
did he throw it to you in the like the tunnel going out?
Mean Joe Green style?
Yeah, Joe Green style.
He's like, "Hey kid," and then tossed it to me. Actually, he also. I'm
a grown man, sir.
I wanted to look up how many times he went into the Pro Bowl. He is credited for inventing dumping drinks on the coach.
Oh.
He did it to Bill Parcells when he played for the Giants.
Yeah.
I thought Kevin Regan invented that.
Nah, that's a good point. Yeah. Reference to the last podcast.
Put these in order, Kevin.
Yeah. I planned on it.
No, it's often credited actually to his teammates the year later, but they dumped Gatorade, and that's why they were kind of remembered for it. But he did it with water, apparently.
Well,
Okay.
you're lucky he didn't think about that when you're standing in that tunnel with him.
Yeah, right. I could have dumped water on him.
Then you don't have a souvenir.
Hey, kid, I'm just going to try a few things out on you. Don't move.
Here, this is hot tea.
You're the coach, kid. Stay there.
All right, stop crying. Stop crying. I'll get some cold Gatorade.
So that San Francisco 49ers shirt, I loved it. And I wore it like it was kind of like a wear it around the house kind of shirt.
White with red or red with gold?
It was gray with orange, or red, the red.
Right.
It's red. I always thought it was like orange, but I guess it is red.
No, it's like the Golden Gate Bridge. It's like burnt brick.
Yeah. So it was like a gray with like with the reddish letters on it. But so I don't have it anymore. I lost it. I think my college girlfriend took it and absorbed it into her wardrobe. Never saw it again.
Typical.
Right? Am I right?
And that is without a doubt the best thing she got out of that relationship.
You're probably right.
I guarantee it. Jim Burt's shirt. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you've noticed with me, but I don't tend to wear any sports paraphernalia. That one.
I have picked that up.
What's that?
I have picked that up.
Yeah, like Regan right now is wearing his Flyers.
In spite of the fact that you're built like a top shelf athlete.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, I've never had them. That 49ers one was like the only thing I ever had aside from one other jersey. Can you guess what the jersey was?
Von Hayes, that's my guy.
Nope.
Tried.
Comedy sports.
Oh, that's true. I have many comedy sports jerseys, but that's technically not a sport. But okay.
Oh,
it's a sports.
Ooh, branding.
Branding. # branding.
I'm gonna say it was like Greg Nettles from the film.
It did not have a number on the back, so it was just a team.
Is it hockey?
Nope. It was the 1988 Baltimore Orioles, and I bought it.
Manny Machado.
How do we not get that?
You wouldn't get it.
Machado wasn't even born yet. Well,
The reason I bought it was because they were on a losing streak in 1988. They lost 21 games in a row. And as a act of like subversion, because all my friends wore sports jerseys, I went and bought the shittiest team's jersey and started wearing it around. And I thought that was like kind of cool. I'd be like,
I'm with you, dude. When Mitch Williams gave up the home run to Joe Carter, I ran out and bought a Mitch Williams jersey almost immediately, and that's true.
There you go. So in '88, I bought that Orioles jersey, and I did wear it around a lot. And one night I remember very specifically wearing it was on July 17th, 1993.
All-Star game?
Nope. That is when a couple of my friends and myself decided we wanted to go see Camden Yards, which had just opened up the year before.
Yeah.
And we had not been down there to see it yet. So we wanted to go check out this new ballpark in Baltimore.
That's why I didn't remember that name, even though you announced it as though it was like a date that went down in infamy.
Nope. It had nothing to do with anything. I went back and looked it up because
July 17th, 1993.
The reason I looked it up is I'm going to reveal in a second. But I literally did go through like a bunch of I've been cleaning my house and I found all my date planners from like the last. Now I use my phone, but back then I used to use calendars.
Good for you. That's awesome.
And I still have all of them. They're all like in a box in my basement.
You get a Palm Pilot?
I did not get a Palm Pilot. I had a BlackBerry, but not a Palm Pilot. No. So I looked up the date and I found when we went to go see this game, and we went down to see Camden Yards, which was such a cool stadium at the time because it was one of the first retro stadiums.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like it looked like the one in Boston.
Fenway.
It looked like Fenway, and now like Citizens Bank Park and like all the new stadiums look like that now.
They all do, yeah.
Yeah, but at the time it was so novel, and we were like, look at this. This is awesome. So we went down there. It was a 7:05 game against the Twins. They lost 4-2. Shame. but it was like a perfect night. And the attendance that night was 46,360 people. I wrote it down. I have it on my screen.
Oh, okay. I was like, how do you remember that?
Yeah. Which is, at the time, the Camden Yards only seated 48,000 people. So it was essentially pretty much a sellout.
Yeah.
It was packed. And I'm with a couple of friends of mine. I'm trying to remember who all went. I was like, I think my friend Ryan and my friend Mike. I can't remember everybody that went, but it was a handful of us. And
Ryan and Mike were there?
Yeah, just like the dudes that I hung out with back then. And we were in the concourse, you know, like when you first get to the first level and it's like where everybody's like packing in and like making their way to the seats. And we were waiting for the escalator. There was like an escalator, which also looked kind of cool because I was used to like the vet.
Yeah,
just walking up the ramps.
Ramp.
Yeah,
It smelled like urine.
It just took forever. It was like you felt like cattle going up those ramps.
Yeah.
So we were waiting for the
Most of those
escalator.
people weigh slightly more than cattle that were walking around those ramps at Veterans Stadium.
This is true. So we were waiting in this like mob of people to get up these escalators because our seats were way at the top. And I hear behind me somebody's voice that I recognize, and I turn around, and there's this woman with her back to me. And I kind of like look, and it's the girl I dated in high school was standing directly behind me, facing the other way. And I hadn't seen her in like probably a year or two at this point.
Wait, you just recognized her voice?
I heard her voice because she was literally behind me facing the other way.
Yeah.
Right? And so I tapped her on the shoulder, and at the time I was living in Pennsylvania. She was either living in DC or Virginia, I can't remember which, going to law school. So we were living in separate states.
Yeah.
And we both went on the same night to see the ball game. I guarantee
Serious girlfriend in high school?
What's that?
Like a serious high school girlfriend? I mean,
yeah, we dated for a couple of years in high school. It was like my high school.
Okay.
And I literally have only been to Camden Yards once in my entire life. I'm pretty sure that's the only time she went also. And we were not living in the same states at the same time. So like the coincidence of us being there at the exact same moment, back to back at the exact same time, like Jessie, if I were to tell you I'm going to the ballpark tonight and you were going to say to me like, I'm going to the ballpark tonight too. And I'd be like, hey, I'll see you there. It's like such a ridiculous thing to say.
You wouldn't see each other.
Yeah.
So you're back to back
Right.
going up the escalator. Do you go up and then like both you turn around to see her and she gets off the escalator? And
it was right before we got on the escalator, like literally right before we got on the escalator. And so, yeah, the coincidence. So it made me think like, if you were to like graph, like every day of my life, you would see like my little dot of me in Pennsylvania and like graphed her down in Virginia. And then on one day they both go boop, and like go to the exact same spot, exact same time. Like the which made me think, imagine how many times you're in public places and there's probably hundreds of people there.
Yeah.
You know?
That connect with your life. I think of that all the time.
Well, it depends how many people you know, because mathematically, if you go to the stadium, there could be 10 to 20 to 30 people there that you know. So
I guarantee it's probably more like 1,000.
Well, Dave, I have the test results, and you are the father.
Yeah, right.
well, ding, ding, ding.
So yeah, just a random coincidence, but those are the two jerseys I've ever, or two sports jerseys I've ever owned. Were those?
Wow.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Was it a good meetup with her? Like,
yeah, it was great. It was great. Like I think maybe we had seen each other probably a year earlier or a year and a half earlier or something like that. But it was also like, yeah, you talk for like 5 minutes and then you go watch the ball game. And
Well, Brian and Mike were waiting, so yeah.
exactly. Yeah. But
Ian, what did you just throw in that fire?
all the buttons that he wrote. All right, Mary, you ready?
I am. You just want me to launch into it?
No, I'll do the intro.
Okay.
And then if we don't need it, Kevin will take it out because he's magic.
perfect.
You blew it, Steve. It was a perfect.
Oh,
And
I blame Ian.
No,
Yeah.
Ian,
Yeah.
it was perfect what Ian did. You're just not a
And I was
perfect.
like, I got you, buddy.
Yeah, he had your back, and you let him down.
Hey, this is Steve with the Punch Up Podcast. With me on this episode are Kevin Regan,
Hello, Steve.
Jessie Preisendorfer,
hello, Steve.
Ian O'Shea,
Hi, Steve.
and our storyteller is Mary Carpenter. Hello, Mary.
hey, Steve.
All yours.
So this is just a quick story about baseball. I'll preface it by saying my husband and I are about to celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary.
Oh,
on April
Wow.
29th. Yeah,
congrats.
thanks very much.
When? You have to tell. You might not want to tell everybody when the anniversary is because everybody's going to just flood your house. But
I will, because it might give it a chance of him remembering. It's April 29th.
Wait, hold on. Why do you think that would give him a chance of remembering? Because when he was a guest on the show, he didn't listen to the show. So I'm fairly certain.
He has never seen the show, including his own episode.
Yeah. Mary, do you expect us to text him and remind him? Is that what?
But others might see it and text him. I mean, this is a man who said, "Oh, you have to start a blog," and then never read it. So he
Your
means
blog
well.
is great, by the way. It is a great blog.
Right.
He means well. He means well. But I'm saying that
No one
because-
means better.
exactly. His intentions are pure. His follow through maybe not so much. But anyway, we're going to now go back in time to when the Phillies were in the World Series, and my sister Anne, who is 14 months older than me, so we're not quite Irish twins, but close to. And we're very, very close. And she has a very good friend who she met at film school who does some sort of sports broadcasting work and had tickets to one of the World Series games in Philadelphia.
And I'm sorry, this is 1980 or 83? Or?
No, this is
2008.
90. No. It's because my kids are alive at this point. It's the one with
93.
Chase Utley.
Oh, that's
2008.
2008.
That's not 93 because my son was born in
2008.
98. Thank you. So no, it's not 98. It's
2008. 2008.
Thank
Hold up
you.
a card.
Okay, 2008. Whatever.
A picture, a 2 here,
I'm 3.
0, and an 8.
Okay. 2008. Because my son's in 5th grade at this point.
Okay.
So, he's able to get them tickets, right? So, but they only have they have 4 tickets, and my sister Anne is in town at this point, and she's the friend. So of course I'm going to give one to her, and then I'm going to give the rest to my husband and my 2 boys, so they can have the experience of going to see the World Series. And it was the World Series where they actually had to pause the game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
Horrible rain.
Yep.
So they're watching, and my one son is only in 3rd grade at this point. He's still pretty young. So I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old, and it's going pretty late. And at one point, like the only thing I said to my husband, I was like, "So I know I'm fine with not going. Do me a favor though. I'd love to get like a real nice World Series hat, Phillies hat, like a really good." And my husband is,
that's all you want out of this.
Look at this.
all I want
Look at
is
this.
a hat.
Look at this.
Nice.
This doesn't translate real well on SoundCloud.
That's
Kevin
a
is-
good one.
Kevin is wearing a World Series hat.
But that's all I wanted. And
He's wearing a free World Series hat.
And it's Yankee. And it's in
Why do you think it's
Yankee.
free? It's free in the sense that my dad died and I took it. It's his. But so
Oh.
yes, it's free.
Oh, now I'm
In your
sad.
face. It was worth it for your face, Ian.
That you're a grave robber?
No, I mean we weren't burying him in this.
No.
Why not?
Why
It doesn't
would-
fit. My dad has a tiny little head, but I wear it.
Now you're
Don't
insulting
wait
the
for
man?
that. My husband is also notoriously cheap, right? He doesn't like to. Whenever we've gone to any kind of professional sports game, he doesn't want to buy food. He doesn't want to buy drinks or anything like that. I'm like, we have to let the boys get a soda or a hot dog. I mean, it's part of the experience.
Yeah.
So, and at one point in the middle of the game, my sister's friend, Eric, comes over with just a bag full of swag, like a World Series jacket, like 2 warm-up pullovers, sweatshirts from my boys, hats, like just all, and he's just like, yeah, have it, like free swag, like really good swag. And it was like, in Jim's mind, he had hit the jackpot, like all this amazing stuff. I don't know if he enjoyed the game more or the swag more, but he was just
Swag.
yeah, over the moon. And at one point, like, he calls me and he says, Michael's really tired. He's kind of hitting the wall. That's my youngest son. And I was like, I'll come get him. He didn't suggest it. I was like,
come on. Are you kidding?
Of course, I'll come get him.
It's World Series.
Yeah. So I drive and I come and Jim brings him out and I pick him up and he's exhausted. It's like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And then Jim goes in to watch the rest of the game and I drive Michael home and put him to bed and everything. And
You guys, at this point too, you guys don't live super far from the stadium either, right?
we don't. It's like, we live in Mount Airy. So at that point, of the night, it's probably like a 20, 25 minute drive. So it's not awful.
That's a good amount. That's
Yeah, but nobody's on the road because everybody's watching the game or at
That's true. There wasn't traffic.
They are. And and I'm excited for them. Like I was thrilled that they got to go to the World Series.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I bring Michael home. He goes to bed, and Jim and Jimmy get home, and my sister get home super late. And so the next morning I wake up and I was like, oh, how was it? And they're telling me the story. I was like, so cool. It's like awesome. I was like, did you get me a hat? And he was like, oh. No, I think it's just with all the, and then it was a delay, and so he was totally
All the excitement caught up in the moment.
Is he wearing his own hat at this point while he's telling you this?
I can't help but notice you're wearing new socks and a new jacket and no pants, no shirt.
They had no hats left. I mean, what am I to do?
Did you sleep in those clothes?
I bought the last hat for myself. I'm sorry, hon.
I know.
Yeah. It was.
You should have been there.